Hey there, everyone. Welcome to this morning's edition of the NPC Markets Morning Call, 7th of May, 2026. Peace, love, and chip stocks, essentially. Stocks at record highs and largely driven by the likes of AMD, Supermicro, ARM Holdings. Basically, if you make semiconductors or chips, you were up at least 5% last night. And that was all really, it sort of shows you they were the first to really recover. This is all on the back of like the 250th announcement of a peace deal in the last 60 days. So the US presented Iran with a one-page memorandum, MOU, a gradual Hormuz opening, a blockade lift, a nuclear enrichment moratorium, and then Axios 14-point plan, 1 month away for talks to end the war. Iran's reviewing, response is expected via Pakistan within 48 hours, and Trump said it was a very good chance of ending. Look, I think this is more so, we've just gotten through earnings season in the US. It was better than expected. Mind you, statistically, it's always better than expected. I don't think I've ever seen, they basically always beat at an 80% rate. So but these chip stocks are really, the market's clung onto a new narrative now. But I mean, look, the likes of AMD up nearly 19%, ARM up 14%. Samsung was up 14% as well and joined the $1 trillion club. Possibly that could be one of the first non-US based companies to do that, actually. Or one of very few. And look, NVIDIA bought $500 million in Corning stock, which is an AI fiber optic partnership. So all of those sort of data center fringe stocks, and the things that we were investing in our hyperscaling AI investment back in September, October last year, which are the building blocks of the actual data centers, like copper and water and water management systems and cooling systems and like power systems, etc. They are just all absolutely rocketing. You had the likes of Vertiv, which makes all of the internal power management systems and humidity management and water management and all the monitoring and the sensors, etc. Like that stock's up nearly 200% in the last sort of 4 or 5 months. And demand's going through the roof. Micron, the demand for memory is just on an absolute tear. The SK Hynix is up about 400%. In the last was I think around about 6 months, and so it's all of that stuff where there's shortages and they're everyone's racing to be first, and they don't really care. They don't really care like how much they're paying as it stands at the moment, because they all think it's going to be an enormous thing. So I mean the likes of TSMC. We've got Alphabet obviously as well, now number 2 in the world, overtaking I believe NVIDIA. So look, market very positive overall, the market has just been looking for an excuse to be bullish for ages, and now every time Trump's message is almost getting stronger, because everyone wants to believe it. So where I see this ending up playing out is probably in the damage it's going to do to the consumer, because I mean, while oil's down 7 or 8% overnight, it's still at $94. Like we're at 50, 60. Sorry, we're in the mid 60s prior to this. Like it's still up 40, 50%, and we're still months, not weeks, away from there being any normality to fuel prices, etc. You've still got prices at the pump, on average across the US at $4.50, up from like $3. And countries like Australia and Asia, we're still seeing really increased, like incredibly high prices, and it's just going to eat away at the consumer, and then obviously that's going to eat away at forward demand, and then the inflation as well. So I think the economic numbers, probably not this month necessarily, but next month will start to really dent the market. But until that point, you just got to go with the flow. We started buying memory stocks, power stocks, chip stocks, and things like that, a few weeks ago, despite the fact that on a macro basis and geopolitical basis, we were bearish. Well, I was bearish, but the market's ability to see through these things these days is quite incredible. Was good selling up there. For those of you who listened last week on the morning call, they're selling around that 110 region in oil. We got rid of half. A lot of people sold all of it. And look, we would largely be looking to bail on the rest of it over the course of the next couple of weeks. Once we see what obviously Iran replies with Pakistan. So yeah, overall, gold, because gold and silver and platinum and copper and these things are all, essentially risk on and very, being treated pretty cyclical. They had a great rally last night. Gold was up 3, silver was up 6, and was up about 8 or 9 at one stage. Copper was up 3, but the likes of Freeport McMoran were up like 9%. And you saw as well, like I think the wire ETF just went through the absolute roof. Uranium up 7.5. Like that's the ETF. So you can imagine how the uranium stocks are going to go today. Paladin's been a bit beaten down. I'd be looking at that if you're an ASX punter. It's a pretty good one. I don't really feel the need to be giving myself any more stress or issues by going into Boss Energy, but but Paladin is quite liquid and quite tradable. It's probably not a bad one. It's making a bit of a way back, but I would imagine it'll open up pretty high and keep going today. The Aussie market's been pretty beaten down, and we've got a little bit of catch up to play, particularly if these commodities are going to do the right thing. So yeah, for those of you who didn't get out of your Woodside and Santos and things, yeah, probably, I guess you're used to waiting and being disappointed. You're probably going to continue to be for, another couple of years. We're large. Uber did rally last night as well, 8% on increased business spend, apparently. That was this morning. And Arm Holdings, as I said, was up around about 8%. Disney was up 7% actually as well. Streaming services doing well, and then the theme parks and things. I did not see AppLovin. But tomorrow you're going back to more your traditionals, and McDonald's and things like that. Friday night is non-farm payrolls. The employment figures that have come out so far this month have been relatively okay. Certainly haven't shown broad weakness or broad strength of any. They've been a little bit wishy-washy. And then you've got Macquarie Group as well, will be tomorrow. And that's at the end of the Macquarie conference. So there's been a few moves in some of those Macquarie conference things. Despite, we're a little old NPC, we're not quite important enough to be invited to that one. But, there's been some significant moves in the past and over the course of the week as people have presented, but it's very much sentiment based, and most of the stuff's already in the market anyway. So it's not, but it's a good thing for Australian companies to be able to do, because we do report earnings on that 6-month rotation, which feels like an eternity. Particularly if you're nursing a stock that you're hoping for a recovery for. So yeah, we've got a webinar next week, and so basically, if you're fearing a fall, how to invest smart at record highs, essentially, Kai and I will be going through it, and we're kind of just going to show you some of those methodologies and techniques we've like buy the dip, and how we use fixed coupons, etc. And basically more modern techniques, and how you can actually, they're not as scary as you think, and how simple it is to do, really set up, and get more out of your existing ETF investments, etc. And in a lower risk and higher return way. Yeah, we're going to run through that, and then how to manage your risk and things like that. Because there is an overwhelming feeling at the moment. People are a little bit concerned and fearing that the market's just going to turn around. I tend to agree with them. So we just sort of, it would be smart to basically run a little bit of a webinar on how we manage risk, how we actively plan, setting shopping lists, buying dips, etc. And look, the two of us have got a good 40 odd years trading experience between us. So, we've done this on a daily basis for years and years and years and years. And there is absolutely no reason you can't bring it to your investment plans overall. So you can scan the QR code or go to mpcmarkets.com.au/webinars and register. Yeah, that's next Tuesday at 11 a.m. And hopefully we'll see you then. It's free of charge, by the way. And yeah, we'll hopefully see you there. And obviously, we've still got buy the dip going, people. Due to overwhelming demand, we are going to. I mean, its closing date is next Friday, but this has been extraordinarily popular. So please, if you don't want to miss out, obviously scan the code, go and have a look, because we're going to need. We've got quite a backlog of new clients coming in who want to use this thing, and it takes time to get set up. So the earlier the better, and that thing will be closed off as of next Friday the 15th. So have a great day, people, and we will speak again tomorrow.